innovation is just laziness. All entrepreneurs are lazy. And I know I just triggered everyone. Seriously, if you're listening to the show, you are so lazy because you want to do a better job with less work. That's the definition of lazy.
You're listening to the Radcast, a top 25 worldwide business podcast. If it's radical, we cover it. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. We say if it's radical, we cover it. Well, I don't fucking know what's more radical than our next guest. You know, we were talking pre-episode. A lot of you have heard of you. We got a lot of executives. We got a lot of people that are trying to hack their brains, hack their bodies, and to get ahead. Well, we got the fucking father of biohacking, Dave Asprey. What's up, brother?
Ryan, I love that intro. You sound like some kind of like 60s shock jock. You got that like, hey, what's up, brother? Hats off. I got up my podcast game.
It's like substance, sizzle or steak. I don't know if I think that might be the sizzle, but I try to bring both.
If you've got both, that's the perfect meal. If you've just got sizzle, well, then you just be an influencer and that would be kind of boring.
Yeah.
So,
well,
you got to have both.
We're number one in marketing and business on Apple. So I guess we're doing something right. So
I think so.
Yeah. But you know why we're doing something right? Because we got fucking Dave Asprey on the show. And I'm telling you, Dave, we talked pre-episode, but we're going to do it again. You know, you inspired me 14, 13 years ago. It's been a while. 2010. Yeah. I'm getting old. I'm 46. And my first nootropic experience on the biohacking blog, your online stuff. You've been talking about this stuff. And I learned about some things before even like researching this for this episode. First fucking e-commerce sale. I mean, dude, like I didn't know that.
Believe it or not, my first, actually, this wasn't my first company because, when you're a teenager, you do all sorts of crazy stuff if you're an entrepreneur. But I was in my college dorm and I just needed to pay my tuition. So I started a company selling t-shirts that said caffeine, my drug of choice. And they had a picture of the caffeine molecule. That's it right there on my arm. And it said caffeine, my drug of choice. And I sold them to 16 countries. And this Rutgers marketing professor was on what today you'd call Reddit. Back then it was before the browser was invented. So it was called Usenet. And he's saying, no one's ever going to make money on the internet. And, I'm at a state school. So I'm like, yeah, Mr. Ivy League, I hate to tell you this, I'm already making money on the internet. So, I don't know what kind of school you go to. I might've been kind of a jerk when I was a kid, but the next day, the Miami Herald picks it up and he calls me and it's like, hey, is this real? I'm like, yeah, it is. And so they wrote a big article about it. 2 weeks later, the first spam in the world came out after that article. And in the article, I warned, I'm in Entrepreneur magazine at this point. My fat picture, like proof of fat, is me in a double extra large t-shirt in Entrepreneur. And to this day, people who saw Joe Rogan try to take me down for money, they'll say, you weren't really fat. I'm like, I don't know. Does Entrepreneur magazine enough proof? And there's no, it's not enough proof. I'm like, well, then, you're a douchebag. But the funny thing is that article, I didn't know. I was just I also scooped ice cream at Baskin Robbins. I was literally trying to make rent and tuition. And that was all it was. But in retrospect, yeah, first thing ever sold over the internet the day before the guys who now run wine.com sold. They used to be called virtual vineyards. So it was a very small internet back then. And it's just what scrappy entrepreneurs do. And, a generation before that, I probably had a ham radio or something like that. I don't know what those guys did, but there's always people who are saying, I got to find a way. And I can tell you, for me, getting a job probably wasn't the right way. Although I did have a great career in Silicon Valley, it was kind of pushing against my nature, which is just to be an entrepreneur.
They call you the father of biohacking. I think you're one of the fathers of innovation is what you are. I mean, at the end of the day,
man, innovation is why we're alive.
Yeah.
You go back probably realistically a quarter million, like 250,000 years. And there was two cavemen that looked mostly like us. And one of them's like, hey, I found this fire outside and I'm going to stay warm. And the other one's like, it's not fair. And like one of those guys is our ancestor and the other one isn't. So innovation is just laziness. It's just, I don't want to do that much work. Can I stay warm without whatever I was doing before? So I'm just lazier than everyone else. That's what all entrepreneurs are, lazy. And I know I just triggered everyone. Seriously, if you're listening to the show, you are so lazy because you want to do a better job with less work. That's the definition of lazy. And if you're hardworking, you should hire those people because they're willing to take a shovel and dig a ditch. And you're the guy who's going to get a tractor and do it and then go have a beer. And that's actually normal and healthy and good. So I'm just one of those. Lazy is my power. And yeah, I can work really hard, but you will not make me work hard unless I have the best tools.
Yeah. Well,
and if the tools suck, I'll make new ones. And like that's what makes the world a better place. So I didn't invent innovation. It's in our cells. It's in our bones. I just maybe am lazier than you.
Yeah. Self-deprecation. I'm not buying because I buy that you think that.
Lazy's good. Like I love it. You got like, I've interviewed a lot of these high performers. Like Jocko's a guy I respect so much, right? Jocko Willink. And we did a live interview in Arizona. And I mean, that guy works so hard and it's so impressive. And I'm thinking, man, I don't really want to do that. But like I do work really hard. I have 6 or 7 companies. I built $100 million plus a year company from scratch. So yeah, clearly I can work hard. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And so I do.
Yeah.
But I want all of the leverage and innovation and tools in order to do it. So it's that capability to work hard that I think is important for you and me and for our listeners, but it's not necessarily the willingness to work hard until you've got the right tools. And it that matters for some little subtle thing for me, maybe more than it does for other people.
I mean, that's what it is though. I mean, that's what you are, is the king of the shortcut. Like really, because look, your book, Smarter Not Harder, a guide to getting the body and mind you want, is right down that path, right? It's how do I shortcut, not like overworking this or overcomplicating it. How do I keep it simple, stupid?
Well, it's not that hard to get the body you want. Now, I say this as a guy who struggled greatly as a 300-pound entrepreneur. But the reason I couldn't get the body I wanted is because I had to pay rent, and I had to do my career and all the other stuff that's going on. But if you really wanted to do this, you stop everything and you have an unlimited amount of money and you hire all the experts, right? And you just focus for 8 or 10 hours a day on getting the body you want. That's what they do in Hollywood, right?
Yep.
And suddenly you can look like Wolverine. Well, problem is that doesn't work for you and me because we have kids, we have families, we have jobs, we have responsibilities, we have communities. So we're always stuck between this. Well, how hard could it be? Well, in the amount of time and energy that we have, it's actually not possible for a lot of people without the right tools and advice. So for me, I exercise, you're going to hate me on this, 20 minutes a week right now. And I'm 7% body fat. I'm just absolutely stupidly ripped. And I've never looked this good in my life. And that's because of the most recent book and Upgrade Labs. My exercise is done with AI. It's done with these techniques that give sometimes 90% better results than you going to the gym. So same thing. So I'm trying to sell. So I knock on all my neighbors' doors, and you got the guy next to you. It's like, I just ran an ad campaign and I did SEO. And one of you is driving the Maserati and the other one isn't. So I think you should do that for your exercise. You should do that for your nutrition and everything else. And suddenly the energy you get back goes into you, and then you can use that as an entrepreneur. Because it didn't teach me that at Wharton. I made fun of Ivy Leagues earlier. I have a Wharton MBA, which is not where you go to learn how to be an entrepreneur. But they never taught you that. Your company, it's a reflection of your energy. So if your cells are making energy right, you've done your personal development work. So first you can make electricity, then you can direct it where you want it to go. Your company is generally going to look pretty good. Your culture is going to be okay. And when your energy's off, your company's energy is off. They're mirrors of each other. And when you understand that, that's why you take care of your hardware. That's why you do whatever kind of meditation or neurofeedback or whatever practice you have for managing yourself. Because you get those done, the company just follows. You've seen the same thing in your life?
Oh God, 100%. It's like when it's a direct reflection. Like when I look in the mirror, I'm just not, when the wires are crossed, it's like a bad, like it's like having to reboot the computer, like it's not working. It's like, I got to reboot, You got to get it going. If it's not, because it's direct reflection. Talking with Dave Asprey, founder of Bulletproof Coffee, which we're going to talk about here shortly. But Dave, I mean, I think people, one of the biggest questions I wanted to ask you, or believe it or not, like, what's a bad day for Dave Asprey? Like what I know, I think, and you've told us a little bit what drives you. But I think for people that think, oh, okay, he's the father of biohacking, he's always like hacking everything. Like, but what's a bad day? What's a cheat for Dave Asprey?
All right. There's two kinds of bad days. There's internal bad days and there's external bad days. So an internal bad day is you wake up and like you don't feel right. You're groggy, and maybe your back hurts. And for me, this was just all of my days when I was younger, until I got my biology under control. And then your brain just won't go. You kind of put the accelerator down and the car doesn't move. So you push all the way to the floor and it's kind of moving. If there's no more pushing you can do, right? So then you can't remember things. And you just get that there's like a feeling, you could call it anxiety, but it's not like worry. It's just like your body's not right. And for me, that's usually caused by eating stuff that's not compatible with my biology, or I slept in a hotel room that was full of, artificial fragrances or worse, toxic mold. It's amazing. Like I'm heading to a hotel that I know is full of mold. Every time I sleep there for 2 nights, I just feel like garbage the next day. So I'm actually shipping.
Stay somewhere else.
Well, no, I tried. There's nowhere nearby to stay. So I looked at it, but I'm sending myself a $500 air filter so that I know I'll wake up and I won't have that day, and then I'll send it back to my house when I'm done. It's whatever.
I just envisioning Dave Asprey like spending an hour like attaching air filter somewhere.
You just plug it in. But it's one of those things where I just don't want to feel that way, because that's kind of a wasted day. And with all the nootropics and biohacks, I can take myself back from most of those days pretty easily. Like I know the levers and knobs say, all right, I'm going to show up today, and it doesn't matter what happened there. I can make it work, but it just might take more effort than it's supposed to. Like you want to feel like you're kind of like you're skating, like there's some glide in there, versus if you just putting on crampons and walking up an ice cliff, right? Like I want the skating sensation of the day. So that's, I guess, you're in the South. You've probably never even seen an ice cliff, but you know what I'm talking about. Up in Canada,
I've traveled to one, but I have definitely not seen them here. We do have 4 seasons in the upstate, but very little ice cliffs.
So if that's an internal bad day, right? Yeah. What's an external bad day? Well, try, getting fired by your board of directors from the company you founded. Try getting divorced. Try, moving to a new city. Those are all on the WHO list of stressors. Oh, wait. I used to say that like it had credibility. The WHO list of stressors.
Oh, shit. Yes.
But never mind. Screw you guys. You have no credibility anymore.
Zero.
So anyway, it's on a major list of stressors of humans. And so what's going on there is how you handle external stress and things like that. That's a function of how do you see reality in your head, and do you have the electrical capacity in your cells to handle it? So most entrepreneurs and most humans fail because we suck at making electricity because we broke ourselves. So once you fix that, you can still be dysfunctional, because what's happening next is how you see the world is dysfunctional. And for me, I had all of this wrong with me. And at this point, I've had about 1,500 entrepreneurs come through my neuroscience company. It's called 40 Years of Zen. And I built it for my own brain. So I've got a neuroscientist. We've got 7 patents in different types of tech that improve your brain function. So you sit there for a week, and it's the equivalent of meditating for 20, 30, 40 years. And at the end of this, I've rewritten my operating system so that things that would have been overwhelming are manageable. So you learn how to tune it. So all of a sudden, more power, less waste on ineffective views of the world. And then you can handle an enormous amount. I mean, an enormous amount. It doesn't mean you want to. It means you can. So the capacity for hard work is something that I greatly value. My willingness to work hard is something I greatly value. If I have to work hard all the time, it means I suck at managing my life.
Fascinating. So like what throws you off now? Like then is it just purely like travel, like not controlling maybe variables outside of your own control?
One of the things that I'm working on right now is there's kind of 3 buckets. Do you know Dan Sullivan's work?
Yep.
Strategic coach.
Yep.
So I did some work with Dan and I greatly appreciate him. He's taught me so much. And there's 3 buckets. There's the stuff that takes your energy that you hate. There's stuff that, you're willing to do. It's kind of neutral. You don't like it, don't hate it. You like paying bills or something, maybe, if you don't mind paying bills. And then there's stuff that gives you energy, right? So entrepreneurs in particular, we like to do the stuff that gives us energy. And we're willing to do a little bit of that stuff in the middle. And the stuff that takes your energy is just kryptonite. So I want to spend more time on the stuff that I like to do. Problem is running several companies. I've got, Upgrade Labs. That's my franchise. We've got 27 locations opening across the US now. And you go to ownandupgradelabs.com if you want to work with my team on that, on opening a franchise for biohacking. And what's going on with that is okay. That's one business and it's growing. And then I have this 40 years of Zen, the neuroscience business. And then I've got my media business and I've got Danger Coffee, my new coffee company, which is really doing well. So how do I partition my time between those when I don't really want to be doing that? Because I got to work on this next book that's coming out here. So
are you ADD?
You sound like you're busy, but it's not. I don't mind being busy. It's that I want control over my time. So having thinking time and writing time is really difficult for me right now. So I keep working with my EA, who's been with me for a long time, on how do I have space in a day to think or to do versus to be in a meeting. And that's starting to kind of piss me off a little bit. And I don't really get pissed off that easily, but I look at my calendar, I'm looking at it right now. And today I am literally back to back with no break. I guess I have a half hour before I have an in-person podcast. So someone's showing up at the studio and just back to back the entire day. And I'm talking like no room for peeing. And I don't know how sustainable that is, but I've been doing that for like 6 or 7 years. So at a certain point, I'm going to have to pee.
Yeah. You've hacked your way into figuring out how not to do that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, astronaut diapers, right? I don't know. But I think for a lot of entrepreneurs that I'm so busy is like a mantra of success. And people, how are you? I'm so busy. Being busy is a sign that you actually don't know how to manage your shit. That's really what it means. So I don't like that. I don't even talk to myself like I'm so busy. I'm calendared. It doesn't mean I'm busy. And what I'm looking to do is calendar time where my brain can do what it wants to do. And I can think about stuff and I can create things instead of helping others create things. So that's kind of where I'm working right now.
Something tells me that you're always going to struggle with that a bit because you are an innovator and because you're always pushing the envelope. I feel like, you can always hire people to manage what you create and what you've ideated. But when you continue to innovate, they don't know what's in your head until you systemize it. So something tells me you're always going to struggle with that a bit because of that factor, right?
It's definitely something that's come up. The other thing is the more people you manage or the more people you hire to do your stuff, the more likely you're going to come across a narcissist or 2 or 3. And if you don't spend enough time watching to see if good people have gone bad or whether you just made a really bad hire, at this point, I think I might be the king of hiring the wrong people. I mean, you have to do a few things in order for there to be a coup and for you to get removed from your own company. And that includes letting the fox into the hen house. So I would say most entrepreneurs I've worked with, and do you know Naveen Jain or Vishen Lakhiani?
No, I have not heard those names.
So Naveen runs Viome. He's a Forbes list 7-time big exit guy and a dear friend and mentor. And Vishen runs Mind Valley, the largest personal development group online.
Definitely know that one.
So Naveen and Vishen and I started something called the Apollo Group, and we're mentoring entrepreneurs. It's a $100,000 mastermind. Spend a lot of quality time with people. So it lets you really get inside an entrepreneur's head, in addition to the people who've been through 40 years of Zen, where we talk about stuff after neuroscience activation. Kind of feels like plant medicine, but it's just neurofeedback. So I get to go inside, not just my head, but other people's heads and really talk about it. Every one of us has hired that one person who just about takes your organization down, or does, and you have to build a new one. And so this is the thing entrepreneurs don't talk about enough, because it's failure. And you're talking about failure just makes people, it's like talking about death. Why would we ever talk about that? But the reality is it's usually a bad hire, and it's not knowing the pattern of what a narcissist does inside your organization, how they hollow it out, how they break your culture. And I've seen it enough times now. I finally have the pattern where I can spot them earlier than I used to. And even then it never feels good. Damn it. Did I really do that again? What's that Britney Spears song? Oops, I did it again.
Yeah.
But
she's doing it over and over again.
I've got the cleanest I've ever had across my whole portfolio in terms of none of that behavior. And I'm thinking about writing a book about it, just because it's so difficult to make sure you've got the right people in the right place, and that no one's running that little playbook of destruction that they don't even know they're running.
Yeah.
It's like a little super.
That's the scary thing. I've had it. I'm sitting here nodding. I'm thinking in my head, I had this very thing happen took down, two people almost did it, and they didn't know they were doing it, but because they're, it was, they couldn't control themselves, or it was just their behaviors and different things. And look, at the end of the day, we're the leaders. So I'm the fuck up for hiring them,
It's on us.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I've developed a new technology that works really, really well on narcissists. And it's called the wood chipper. And you feed them right into it, and man, it's like they make for fertile soil. And I feel so okay. The fact that you laughed means you've dealt with
everybody.
These people.
Oh yes, oh yeah, and everybody listening is like going, either they're doing one or two things. They're going, oh, what is this? Is this some kind of new AI? Or they're like me going, yes, can I feed them into the wood chipper?
All right, I dare someone watching right now. Woodchipper.ai. I'm sure it's not taken. Yes. And make that the AI that finds the narcissists in your company, so you can fire them right now.
Oh shit.
And I remember years ago, I was at I think it was a Joe Polish event, the Genius Network, Joe Polish. And I met a guy named Ken, and we were talking. I was telling him about this behavior set from one of my execs back when I was running Bulletproof that just didn't feel right. And he looks at me and he goes, fire her right now. And I go, what? He goes, look, he goes, are we going to use my phone or your phone? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, okay, how did you learn all this stuff? I was like, who mentored you? And he goes, Jack Welch. Jack was the chairman of GE, like one of those badass executives of the last 100 years. Yeah. Like, how did you do that? He was like, I called him one day and asked him a good question, and we got to be friends. And holy crap. So, he was right. If I'd have taken his advice and just picked up the phone and I said, but I can't, I need this person for this. He goes, if a bus hit him, what would happen? And so I teach my execs that to this day. Like if a bus were to hit someone you think you need, would the company die? And they go, no. All right. Well, then in this case, a bus just did hit him because we need to get rid of them because they're harming the culture. And that was a really big shift for me. I've also learned, if you feel like you're going to die, literally you feel like you're going to die, not just the company would work hard, but like you can't make it without them. They're almost certainly a narcissist, because they do things that you and I can't see because we're normal people. And they do that to make you feel that way. And they're not even manipulating you on purpose. They're unaware they're doing it too. Right. And then, so if you catch that feeling, that's a really good sign something's not right. It's different than gratitude. Gratitude is, man, I'm so grateful this person's here. Like every day my life is easier. They're doing such a great job. That's awesome. But when you think about them being gone, if like your heart seizes up, like, God, we just can't make it without them, and there's fear, you're probably being manipulated, and they don't even know they're doing it. That's why narcissists are so dangerous. They don't know in their mind. Like you could literally see a narcissist. They're standing there, they're in a locked room, they're holding a knife, and there's bodies everywhere and they're covered in blood. And you say, well, you stab those people. They go, it wasn't me. And you're like, it couldn't have been anyone else. Like, yeah, it wasn't me because I'm a good person. Therefore, it couldn't be me. Right? Because their story about being a good person made them blind to their actions. So understanding this is going on and they're a victim of their childhood and things like that, that really helps. And so just realizing, got to get rid of them. That is sometimes the most important piece of advice I can give to an entrepreneur is clean out your organization. If people don't feel right, they're not right. And it's okay. It's not your job to fix them.
Powerful words, my friend. Talking with Dave Asprey, the father of biohacking. I want to talk about the 10th annual biohacking conference here in a second, Dave. But speaking of biohacking, there's no better biohacking for the skin than Caldera Lab. This is the premium non-toxic skincare for men, clinically proven and wild harvested in Jackson, Wyoming. Look, this doesn't just happen. I have to hack my way to this look. And I always use Caldera Lab. If you'll use code RADRYAN, you'll get 20% off. That's RADRYAN, RADRYAN. Go to calderalab.com, plug in that code, get your order, biohack your way to skin that makes you look younger and ultimately makes you feel better. That is Caldera Lab. Talk to me. A lot of people listening, know who you are. They probably know your products, but what's the, I'm sure we could talk 3 hours on this, but like, what's the success stack for Dave Asprey? I want to get tangible with like, what's in Dave's tech, like the stack. And I'm talking about the minerals, the coffee, like what's that look like? What's the success? What do I do like stack? On a
daily basis?
Yeah.
All right. You got to start out and you got to brush your teeth with organic clay, and you have to brush it in an odd number according to Fibonacci's sequence. And here's the deal, man. There is no one morning routine that's going to work for everyone. Some people are meant to wake up at 4 a.m. You're one of those early bird people. In my part of the world, the early bird works for the late bird because we hire you to wake up early.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that doesn't work. So you got to do what works for your biology, but there are some things that are common for everyone. Right now, there's 2 supplements that you take before you do the expensive nootropics, before you take the libido and testosterone stimulating or whatever the things you're interested in. One of them is called vitamin Dake. It's vitamin DAKE. And funny enough, yes, you can go to vitamindake.com right now. This is something that I created. And this is a set of 4 fat-soluble vitamins that your body cannot change and adapt if you don't have these. So if you have those and you have Minerals 101, also on the same site, so vitamindake.com, the combination of fat-soluble vitamins and broad-spectrum minerals equals when there's a stress, the body can adapt. Otherwise, if there's a stress and you're lacking minerals, it doesn't matter if the body wants to adapt. If you're lacking chromium or vanadium or boron or zinc or copper, the body doesn't have raw materials. It's like you wanted to manufacture whatever your company manufactures, but you're missing an ingredient. Well, you had orders, you had money that came in the door, but you're not making it. Your body's the same way. So if people would just get mineral sufficiency and they would get the fat soluble vitamins that tell the minerals where to go, now you've taken the gloves off and you can start saying, all right, I'm going to take a nootropic. So I take those every single morning. I get my broad spectrum minerals in. I sound like, I'm selling my own stuff because I'm an entrepreneur and because it works, because I built it because I couldn't buy it. I go to Danger Coffee. Danger Coffee has the very broad spectrum trace minerals and electrolytes in it, and it tastes like the world's most amazing coffee. I did not spoil the flavor with weird mushroom cannabis extracts or some other crap like that. You can take those in pills if you want to. So what that is Danger Coffee for trace minerals, Minerals 101 for the broad spectrum minerals, and vitamin Dake. You start with that. Now, should you have breakfast? I don't care. Yes, I've written a major book, actually 2 major books on intermittent fasting, but you can skip breakfast if you need that kind of input today. If you over skip breakfast because you think skipping breakfast is what good people do, then you'll probably overfast. You know what happens to people when they overfast?
Lose too much weight.
If only. Yeah. I would have loved it if fasting made it turns out if you fast too much, you probably won't keep losing weight. In fact, you might stop losing weight. So here's the first thing. It's different for men and women because women hit the wall first. But the first thing is you start getting low quality sleep. So if you just traveled around the world, maybe you ran a marathon because you're a masochist. Yeah, I'm making fun of chronic cardio. Get a motorcycle, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Electric scooter.
Man, I just pissed off everyone, but I'm just kidding. I appreciate if you run a marathon to show you're tough. If you run 50 of them, you're probably not treating your body well.
Your knees hurt.
So we're talking about, I don't know, you were asking me some other stuff there.
No, your success stack, everything. I want to know what's in the.
I'm just, I'm trying to right now just get a picture for people. So, all right, I'm going to back up a little bit. If you're working on what to do in the morning, you do those things, you have breakfast or you don't have breakfast. If you don't have enough breakfast, for women and men, our sleep goes away. If you're tracking your sleep on an Oura Ring or a Whoop or something like that, great. If you're not, let me just pause for a second. Dumbass. At this point, if you're not waking up, getting your heart rate variability readiness score from whatever your tech is, why are you not doing that? It is so cheap. It's so easy. And this tells you whether what you're doing is working in total. Just like you look at your bank statement, at the end of the month or at the end of the day and go, I wonder what's going on. Well, if you don't do that, you probably won't have a business for very long. So this is how you track whether the sum of what you're doing is working. So you're going to see your readiness go down and your sleep quality is going to get worse. So over fasting, over keto, or going vegan for a very long period of time, all of those will do that. So first is sleep. Second, for women, they hit it first. They end up having irregular monthly cycles that didn't used to be irregular. For guys, we wake up without a kickstand. And then the thing, if you keep doing it because skipping breakfast makes you a good person, well, then you start shedding hair, and men and women both do that. So should you wake up and skip breakfast? If you could use the benefits of intermittent fasting today, yes. There is no ideal fasting window. It depends on your state today. That's why my book is called Fast This Way. And I've taught about 100,000 people how to change their fast. Women have to actually change it based on their monthly cycle. And all of us have to change it based on our stress levels. So if you worked out real hard and you lifted heavy and you're not going to eat for 48 hours, you probably didn't do yourself any favors. Right. So I'm just going to tell you the morning, what'd you do last night? How are you feeling? What's your goals for today? And I tune my morning that way. I do take nootropics just about every single day. I take stress adaptogens. I take a handful of longevity enhancing supplements. By the way, I just got my longevity panels back. This is when you measure your chronological age versus your biological age. And in the last year, I lost another year. That means that even though the calendar advanced a year, I went backwards by 2 years, which is kind of cool. I'm now 12 years younger than my actual age. Hey. This is very confusing, Ryan.
Yeah.
You think about this, the calendar says I'm 51, but my lab tests say I'm 38 or whatever that is, 39, I guess, if it's 12 years. So if I identify as being 39 and people continue to label me without even asking me my desired in my head age, it's very triggering. You think about it, right? So every time I fill out my driver's license, they ask me for my age and stuff like that. And I feel very judged right now.
Is there a pronoun for that?
Oh man, no, I'm
39-ish.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where I actually had a guest on my show a while back, and as someone who is a friend, but is a little bit on the woke side of things. And I said, well, I was filling out your survey and, it had a spot for, my gender, but it didn't let me identify my age. And that was followed by this long apology for it. And I was kind of laughing because I'm like, look, You can't change the date you were born, but your body really can be 10 or 20 years younger by a variety of measures. And I'm a leader in the longevity field. And I'll tell you, if you have a business doing north of $1 million a year and you're not spending at least $25,000 a year on being younger, it's because you're bad at math. And even if you think it only has a 50% chance of working, you're still crazy for not doing it. Because imagine this, you get another 20 years of lifespan, compound interest for another 20 years. You know what that's going to do for you? Just that alone.
Yeah.
Right. And on top of that, without even looking at, compound interest and the things like that, it's the quality of life, the energy you have for all that time. That's worth it. Because if you want to be able to, be a mom or a dad, you want to be able to be present for your kids and your community and your family. And you want to be able to just do the things that matter in your life. And if you're tired all the time and your body hurts, it sucks. And you're going to yell at your kids and you're going to fire someone who doesn't need firing, or you're going to, be mean to a partner. It's not necessary. And that's why longevity matters, because you get more now and you're probably going to get a lot more later. But even if you don't, you'll be glad you did it. I spent 20% of my income since my mid-20s working on that.
Yeah, because you don't want to live long. You want to live long well. I don't want to be 90 years old just to be 90. I want to be 90 years old and doing, pretty much what I want to be able to do. And if you make all that, that's what I understand about, and most CEOs, I think, have caught on to this, the successful ones. You're making all this money and you to provide for your family and to have time and freedom and do all these things, but you aren't going to be around to enjoy the benefits of that, the time benefits, all that, if you aren't taking care of yourself. So,
many entrepreneurs, especially, they're working 90-hour weeks. They're providing for their families and never seeing their families and things like that. It doesn't feel good. And I mean, I've had so many of those guys come in and we sit down, hook electrodes up to their head and see what's going on. And there's actually a lot of suffering in there, a lot of it. Right. And it's like, I did what I was supposed to do here, but I didn't have any fun along the way. And when you're an entrepreneur too, everyone's counting on you. I mean, you might have, I certainly do, hundreds of people relying on me for their household income. Right. And that's a serious responsibility. It's a commitment. And so, the number of times when, things don't go according to plan, COVID and whatever else, and you have to have that phone call with someone and say, I know you did all you could and I did all I could, and we don't have a job anymore. Right. I didn't elect these clowns. And sometimes, hey, we made a bet, or I made a bet. Right. And we thought it was going to go this way and it didn't go that way. And that never feels good. And actually it hurts to do that. So, you're taking on a huge responsibility. And if you're going to be able to bear that weight, you better have that energy now. And most of the time when I tell someone I'm going to live to 180 or more, they think I'm nuts. Well, hold on a second. There's some assumptions that went into this. Number one, I already know we can do 120 because someone's already done it. And that person couldn't spell DNA because it hadn't been invented. They didn't have antibiotics for the first part of their life. World War I was fought with horses. Okay. We actually had cavalry. Okay. That person was alive for all that stuff. What the heck? They didn't have airplanes. They hadn't been invented yet. Okay. So, and computers, AI, all that, nothing. So I'm pretty sure we can do 50% better than that over the next 100 years, unless a comet hits the planet or something like that. Or maybe we'll just spray enough glyphosate and atrazine that humans are unable to reproduce. That I'm more concerned about than I am carbon or something like that. Although, carbon's a solvable problem. We have this neat technology called cows that makes soil that soaks up carbon. So I look at these long-term problems because I'm going to be around that long and I'm working on solving them. If you think you're going to die when you're 80 and the last 20 years, you're not going to know your name anyway, because you're going to put your car keys in the fridge and you're going to be in a wheelchair with diapers and tubes and all that stuff. That's what most people think getting old is, with skin so thin you can see through it. That's not my world. And if you realize that there are people, I know because I was mentored by these people who are in their 80s and 90s who have an active sex life are having more fun than ever. They actually have wisdom because they stop worrying about all the stuff that we worry about when we're 20 and 30 and 40 and 50. But you have the energy of a young person and the wisdom of an old person. That's a powerful place to be, especially if you still have the body of a 30-year-old. Right. And that's what we're building. Like, there's no reason we can't do this other than some people who think it's not possible, other than some industries that will actively try to block you because it makes you not as good of a pharmaceutical consumer and things like that. But it's going to happen anyway. And the cool thing is, if it doesn't happen here in the US, it'll happen in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Singapore or Med City in India. And guys like you and me and your audience, we'll hop on a plane, we'll fly somewhere, and we'll come back with gene therapy. Oh, wait, I already did that. I got gene therapy 6 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago. That'll take an average of 9 years off of your measured age in your cells from one single injection. So you might say, wait, that's science fiction. No, it's not. I just did a whole 2-hour podcast on it. Right. And what, you can do that? Yeah. I'm now working with that company on other longevity targets. So this is reversible. It doesn't get inherited by anyone, but it's already happening. Like it's expensive. That's a $25,000 treatment. But if it takes 10 years off your biological age, and some people it takes much more off.
If it takes 1 year off, you wouldn't pay 25 grand for a year? I would.
Exactly. And so this is, by the way, just Google Dave Asprey gene therapy. I'm sure the episode will come up on my show. But like this stuff is real and people just don't think it's real, Ryan. And it kind of drives me nuts. I've always lived in the future. I do my best to make it. And you go back to, the 90s, no one thought e-commerce was a thing. And, there's that article in Entrepreneur, and we didn't call it e-commerce because the name e-commerce hadn't been created yet. Like what? Cloud computing didn't have a name, right? So these are all recent innovations in human history, right? Yeah. And it's only getting faster and faster. Every 73 days, the amount of biological information we have about ourselves doubles. No doctor on earth can ever know all of it. Only an AI system can do it. And that's why Upgrade Labs, in my franchise company, is doing what it does, because we're using AI to tell you, here's what to do, whether it's to get rid of exercise. Yeah, you can still exercise. It just takes 5 minutes and you get you get 12 times better results in 5 minutes than you do from an hour of cardio. Like I would do 12 times better even if I had to do an hour of cardio, but it turns out if you do 6 minutes, you get worse results than 5 minutes. So there you go.
Diminishing returns.
Let's do that.
So as we close out here, Dave, I could talk to you forever. I do want to talk about the 10th annual biohacking conference that's coming up.
Let's talk about that.
Tell me about it. You're 10 years in. What do people expect? What's it all about?
So biohacking it's a new word in the English language. In 2018, they added it. And it is now a $10 billion plus industry. And I started it at a bar in San Francisco with 100 people about a decade ago. So this is our 10th annual conference, end of May, like May 30th, June 1st kind of time. It's a 3-day conference in Dallas. Go to biohackingconference.com. Going to be somewhere around 3,000 people and more than 100 vendors with all the stuff that you use to build the mind, the body, and the performance that you want. There'll be major figures in longevity and what to eat to perform well, and just a lot of curiosity. But most of all, a lot of people who are just saying, I am in control of my own biology. And that means if you want to be an entrepreneur, okay, there's some things you probably care about. You want to be a fitness competitor, you care about different things. You want to be the world's best meditator. These are all just different aspects of control to make our hardware and our software do what matters most to us. So you'll come out of there and just be inspired. So we're talking everything from breath work, some conversations about psychedelics, about other altered states work that doesn't require any pharmaceuticals or any plant medicines, all the way down to, all right, let's have the conversation about why eating some grass-fed meat is probably better than industrial meat. It is. And why, if you don't do that at all, you need to at least be a vegetarian, because if you're a vegan, it's not going to end well for you. I know this because I was a raw vegan and it trashed me like it does for most people. So just some real serious conversations about the science, about what's real versus what's marketing, and curiosity and acceptance of whatever the heck it is you're deciding is going to work. Like, let's talk about it. So it'll be the most fun you ever have. Biohackingconference.com.
I'm glad you moved it to Dallas from San Francisco.
Yeah, there's only one of them in San Francisco, and it wouldn't be safe to do it in San Francisco now because we'd all be injecting peptides, and then they would think all of our needles were for street drugs. So it would just be confusing.
Dave, I love that you tell it like it is, brother. That's the one thing that I do respect. Look, we can all have disagreements about things, and people can agree with you or not agree with you. But look, until we don't live in America, you get to speak your mind and tell what your truth is. And let me tell you, the success speaks for itself because Dave's truth is a lot of the truth. I appreciate you.
I'm probably wrong about some of it, and I'm willing to be proven wrong. And thanks for a fun interview. And I'll just say, guys, if any of this triggered you, it means you're walking around with a loaded gun. And I'm in Texas. I'm fine if you walk around with a loaded gun. But if you can be triggered carrying a loaded gun, you should get a therapist. And that's what it means. So it's all right to think different. But if it pushed your buttons, seriously, grow up.
I think our audience probably digged it more than you know. We probably didn't trigger too many. We probably sold some minerals and some biohacking conferences. I'm sitting here looking at my calendar.
Coffee. But I got to tell you this. I know we're signing off, but the reason it's called Danger Coffee is because who knows what you might do. Like, that's what dangerous people do. They change the world. And it's the safe ones that just say, yes, sir, may I have another? And we just aren't that kind of people, or we wouldn't be entrepreneurs.
Dave,
that's why it's called that.
We've dropped a lot. We'll have all of it in the show notes. Is there a singular site for finding all of this? I have a feeling it might be daveasprey.com, but I want to hear it from you.
You got it. It's on daveasprey.com. And I'm redoing that to make it easier to find stuff. There's 3,000 posts. There's 1,200 hours of podcasts with 400 million downloads. It's a lot of work. So I'm making it easier and easier. And I'm almost done building the Dave bot that has all my content in it.
Dave, could we do this again?
Absolutely. Happy to.
I'd love to do this a couple of times a year. You always have such great insights, and it's been a pleasure having you on. And I know our audience will enjoy it. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Ryan. Anytime.
And if you want to learn from me directly, join my newsletter, ryanalford.com/newsletter. Sign up. I give daily advice on marketing, personal branding, podcasting, life. Give that a shout. Join that. It's free. It's daily. Just like this show, give away our best advice. Hey guys, you know where to find us, theradcast.com. Search for Dave Asprey. You'll find the show notes, all the info, and the highlight clips. There'll be a lot of them from today's episode. We appreciate Dave for coming on, and you know where to find me. I'm at Ryan Alford on all the social media platforms. We'll see you next time on the Radcast.
To listen or watch full episodes, visit us on the web at theradcast.com or follow us on social media at our Instagram account, the.rad.cast, or at Ryan Alford. Stay radical.